Right. Are you ready? Right. Good morning. Declarations of interest, please. None. Minutes from the previous meeting. Any comments on that? Could I have a proposer, please? Thank you, Councillor Blackpool. Seconder, Councillor White. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Urgent items, I have none. Right. Lynn's going to present this next item, the CQC report, and I'm going to present it.
You mean Lynn's going to chair it, Councillor Mumford?
Yes.
Yep.
So, yes.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have an author for the report here, so Avril, Councillor Mumford will take that over. I just want to say congratulations to everyone involved, past and present, who contributed to this great outcome. As the report says, it is not easy for a smaller authority to achieve such a result due to the economies of scale. So this really is impressive for our islands and something for all staff and the public to be proud of. There is, of course, work which is still ongoing and further improvements to be made, but it is encouraging to hear that important areas such as safeguarding are well organised. There are no waiting time for assessments, and there is strong evidence of improvement over the last 2 years, demonstrating a good direction of travel for the department. Lastly, and equally important, the report confirms that the Council is fully discharging its duties under the Care Act 2024. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. Before we take any questions, I'd just like to say something for this agenda item. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the adult social care team for all their hard work and dedication to our vulnerable adults. A big thank you from me as lead member for adults. A thank you for to our two interim directors of children and adults for all their help and time. But I would like to say, as lead member for adults, a special thank you to Scott Fuller, our previous director of adults. I worked with Scott and know how hard he worked for our adults, and he deserves some credit for this CQC result. And I wish him well in his new venture. Thank you. Okay, I'll take it as if you've all read this report and take any questions.
I'd just like to know that, yeah, it's really good. Congratulations, share the congratulations with everyone. I'm not wanting to be too pessimistic, but just aware that in our children's services, we had a series of good reports, and then we're well aware that changes can happen quite quickly in service provision, and we just need to be aware as an authority that we keep an eye on service delivery and the quality of that service delivery. I just want to make sure that we're not resting on our laurels and driving forward, make sure that we're driving forward improvement and making sure that the service delivers the excellent care that we need to deliver, that we've promised to deliver to the vulnerable adults in our community. It's also worth noting in the minutes that according to the report, nearly 20% of the council's budget is spent on adult social care, which is a big proportion of the budget. I'm not making any, I'm just stating a fact there. And also it'd be interesting to hear how officers are, what the forward plan is for improvements, because there are some areas that do need improving, governance management and sustainability being one of them. That's it from me, thank you.
Thank you. We'll take all that down and we'll send that to Dr. Sue Ross, and it is all coming up at full council next week, so we should be able to get an answer for that question by next week, hopefully. Councillor Sims.
Well, obviously, I'm really pleased with the report, and it's actually, in a way, it's sort of doubly nice because it's all going to transition in the next 7 weeks to some, you know, the integrated hub's going to open and everything like that. So it's good that you like, we move on from Park House on a relatively positive note. And just with reference to Dan, 20% of council expenditure, that might be low for most councils. It's horrendously expensive, and we've got a massive issue with government not funding it properly. So it's an ongoing nightmare, really.
Okay, no more questions? So
Well, I was just going to say, if the report was bad, we'd have a lot of questions. But because it's positive, all we can say is, moving forward, it's really good and well done. It's much easier to moan about it, to have something to say when it's not good.
yeah. Right, so we have two recommendations. Number one, that members note the findings of the inspection report by the CQC, and secondly, that members consider the recommendations requiring improvement to be good and provide the officers with comments for consideration for inclusion in a plan to work towards those improvements. So if we can take them together, do we have a proposer? Thank you, Councillor White, and seconder, Councillor Sims. All in favour? Unanimous, it's carried. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thanks very much. Right, so now on agenda item 5, as our fire report.
Chair and members, I'm pleased to introduce this report detailing the findings of His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services following their most recent inspection of the Isles of Scilly Fire and Rescue Service for the period 2023 to 25. The inspection report provides a comprehensive assessment of our service's performance and highlights both areas of strength and those requiring improvements. This paper outlines the key outcomes of the inspection and presents our structured improvement plan in response. I invite members to scrutinise the report and its appendices, offer any observations they feel appropriate, and consider endorsing the improvement plan to support continued progress and assurance.
Any questions? Anybody? Councillor Sims.
Well, firstly, yeah, well done. It's a pretty positive report. And I just wanted to draw attention to page 17, the service in numbers. I mean, this is a really good piece of paper because it does highlight lots of issues our council have outside of fire and rescue as well. But, what have we got? Fire officers compared to the number of fire officers we've got compared to per capita. It's massive here. It's a very, very expensive service to run. But clearly, if you're on Briar and you haven't got a fire station because it's cheaper, then it's going to burn down. So this is in a nutshell. It summarises the problems that the council has on a wider level. And I notice it, needed improvement, equality and diversity. Obviously they take into context our peculiar situation, but it seems to be quite a tough one to sort of improve here because you don't really have that level of diversity to improve. You can get my drift.
Yeah, if I can respond to that, Chair. I guess we do in one way. We've got 51% of the population is female.
Yeah.
But some of this was around. There's been an awful lot of interest in the public sector in terms of quality, diversity, and inclusion, and rightly so in some areas that there's been criticism. This was more around the understanding and the ability to demonstrate an understanding of the wider equality, diversity issues, rather than looking at our makeup as a service. We have a really good retention rate on the islands, and we will be the envy of most fire and rescue services for our retention rates of firefighters. And that means that we just don't generate the opportunities when they arise. But in terms of a better representation of women in the fire service, I think our last 2 recruitment campaigns have seen a mix of men and women coming into the service. And I think, the work that we do, and it is recognised now that that's not a barrier. So there was work to be done since this inspection report. I'm satisfied that a lot of that work has been done, and if we were inspected today, we wouldn't be in an area of requiring improvement. But it is something that we just, we have to keep an eye on. I think actually nationally, our statistics are probably better than most fire and rescue services in terms of diversity, but that is because we've got such a similar makeup on the islands.
you. Councillor Martins.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the preventing fires and other risk section. I just had a quick skim through, and then, you know, it says the service has a clear risk. I mean, again, firstly, congratulations for the report, etc., etc. So I am picking at small bits here. We've got really high fire safety visits per capita and fire safety audits, but we've also got high instances as well per capita. And in this, the preventing fire section, that says there's no clear prevention strategy and no formal process for targeting those most at risks. How is that something to be worried about? How are you going to improve that?
Okay, so we have a very clear plan for that, and actually we'll be bringing a prevention and protection strategy to the next scrutiny committee. So the service have always had a process for identifying those most at risk, those with most vulnerabilities, and there are national indicators that help us to identify that. But what we've not done is formalised our process for showing that. So in terms of prevention work, so home safety and the vulnerability of people in their homes, we've never really been able to demonstrate how we've targeted. Although, you know, the results, the absence of any dwelling fires would demonstrate that we would seem to be going to the right places. So it's about formalising that, making sure we are making best use of the resources we've got, working with adults and children's services. So we've had discussions around that so that we make sure that, you know, we're focusing on similar vulnerabilities. And in terms of commercial premises, there's a national risk-based inspection programme, and it scores premises as to when they need to be looked at. It'll be no great surprise that on the Isles of Scilly will be primarily those places where there's sleeping accommodation provided. But again, we've not formalised our process to be able to demonstrate that. So within the strategy that I bring to members in January, we'll demonstrate how we're going to do that. And within the next community risk management plan, it will be very clear in that as well. So we will be able to see a route from the vulnerability through to what we've done to make it better for people.
Right, so this is about formalisation and process and procedure almost. It's like showing the inspectors that this is how we work. And
it is, but it's important as well, because although we think we're doing great, if we can't be assured of it ourselves, then, you know, we're doing the best that we can, or we think we're doing the best that we can. But this will make sure that we are actually focused in the right areas. But we do have an opportunity to do that in the way that we've restructured the team and the way that we do.
And that's kind of resonant with the issues we were having in children's services as well, because that was all about, that main thing was about recording and reporting and stuff like that. So it's good to hear, which I guess the CQC stuff was mentioning as well. So that more formalisation of work that happens on the island, which is something we struggle with, I think, because it's so small and you're quite reactive as well, aren't you? So it's kind of, it's good to hear.
And I'm really keen that we keep it simple, but it is clear so that anyone can see exactly why we're targeting the areas that we are and the results of what we do.
Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, congratulations on the report. Excellent state of affairs where we are at the moment. I just want to check with obviously there's a lot of planned work, planned activity listed, particularly part of the report we get to page 62 onwards. I just want to check, obviously you bring to scrutiny the prevention and protection strategies you've said. On the other planned activities, what sort of timescales are we looking at for some of these? Are we aiming to get these completed in the next 6 to 12 months, or are some of these a bit more long-term or ongoing?
Actually, that's a good point. I could have represented that on that appendix, but no, we're looking to complete these within the next 6 months. 12 months post the report, I would hope that we will have green across the board for all of those, because it's little bits of work really to do it, rather than massive steps that we've got to take.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Councillor, you're not working.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, in terms of questions, I think the other members have picked up on what I was going to pick up on. And so I wanted to just pass on my congratulations again for the report and the inspection. As you said, there are some little bits of work to be done and things to improve, and I'm confident that is happening. As Councillor Sims said, it is quite an expensive service per capita because we have to have essentially five fire engines, one on each island, more teams than you would have per capita on the mainland. But I think with the incidents we've had over the summer as well, it's shown how quick the service is to respond, and particularly bringing in resource from other islands to help. And again, on the matter of inclusivity, we are, we do have a particular demographic, and as you say, bringing more women into the service is happening. And I know on St Martin's, it's a case of waiting for people to either retire out of the service or move away, which is what happened earlier this year. And the new firefighter that's come in is a woman, I think the first on the St Martin's team. So it's really good to see that progress happening. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Could I just record my thanks to my predecessor, Mark Hewitt, who was instrumental in bringing about the positive change that we've seen, and the small team. And I recognise, having come from, I worked in the largest non-metropolitan fire and rescue service, coming to the Isles of Scilly. It's a really small team who do an awful lot, but we do recognise that we are an expensive service. But I think the way that we run the service, for example, the way that we've got the fire appliances on the 3 islands where it's the tractor and trailer unit. Now, we had some research, we had a review done on those vehicles, and they will be the oldest fire engines in the UK, but they're absolutely right for the job. So we are, I hope that we demonstrate we're doing our best to give value for money, even though we do recognise that because of our circumstances we are expensive.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Sims.
I was just going to mention that. I mean, it makes it very clear in the report that you do offer good value for money, and you manage your resources well, which actually sometimes must be a bit like juggling eels, really, given the situation you've got here. So yeah, so well done on that, because I think we're about 10 times as expensive per capita for the fire service on the islands. I'm complaining about that. It's just a fact of life, but it does cost us a lot of money, and thank you for spending it wisely.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Any more questions? We take the recommendations that members, having scrutinised the information provided in the report and appendices, make such observations as they consider appropriate and endorse the improvement plan arising from His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services Inspection Report. That members recommend that full council consider any observations made by this committee under recommendation 1 above, and approve the action plan arising from His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services Inspection Report. Could I have a proposal, please? Councillor Nixon, seconder. Councillor Sims, all those in favour? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Right, we're going on to agenda item 6, and this is yours again. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm presenting the Isles of Scilly Fire and Rescue Service Annual Assurance Paper for 2024-25. So this report provides a retrospective overview of how the service has met its statutory duties and responsibilities in line with the Fire and Rescue National Framework for England. The annual assurance statement outlines our progress in governance, operational preparedness, financial stewardship and collaboration with partners, and it highlights the improvements made since the last HMI CFRS inspection. I invite members to scrutinise the report and its appendices, offer any observations and consider endorsing its contents for recommendation to full council.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions? No? Thank you very much. We'll take the recommendations. that members, having scrutinised the information provided in the report and appendices, make such observations as they consider appropriate and endorse the contents of the Isles of Scilly Fire and Rescue Service Annual Assurance Paper for 2024-2025. That members recommend that full council consider any observations made by this committee under recommendation 1 above and approve the contents of the Isles of Scilly Fire and Rescue Annual Assurance Paper 2024-2025. Could I have a proposer, please? Councillor White, seconded Councillor Marcus. All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you very much. Lost the page now. Next agenda item is also yours. Agenda item 7, extension of the Isles of Scilly Fire and Rescue Service Community Risk Management Plan. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. My final paper to present today. Whilst I'm pleased to present this report, what I'm actually asking for is a deviation from previous agreements that has been made by the council. So we have to complete a community risk management plan. We're mandated to do that by the Fire and Rescue Services Act and the National Framework Document. And our intention was that that would be published next year. A lot of the work on the community risk management plan needs to be carried out by our partners in Cornwall Fire and Rescue Service. And we did align with their plan in the past with a view that we would publish at the same time. That was at the request of Cornwall Fire and Rescue Service, but they subsequently found that they just didn't have the capacity to be able to do that. So we've now been asked to extend by 1 year. The extension does ensure that we comply with the national requirements. It does give us an opportunity to address some key inspection findings and maintain momentum on vital initiatives such as data sharing, our prevention strategy, and on equality, diversity and inclusion. Therefore, I invite members to read the report, scrutinise and make recommendations ahead of full council, please.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Mark.
Sure. So let's go to the risk assessment. Right. The mitigations. So talking about reduced confidence in service progression. Given that we've just had a really good inspection report as well, and you've got a clear forward plan on how you're going to address the areas that need addressing, is this extension how does this extension affect that? Is it going to affect that in any way, or is it going to be negative? Or
well, so my intention is that in that interim year we will have almost an addendum to the community risk management plan, which will demonstrate what we're going to do within that year, and that will come to committee next year in line with when the new community risk management plan would have been introduced. So I'm satisfied that we do mitigate that risk. The biggest risk, of course, would be if we had another inspection from His Majesty's Inspectorate and it appeared that we hadn't made any progress. But by members endorsing this extension with the rationale behind it, that puts us in a place of safety. So it's not ideal. It's not what I'd ideally want to be doing, but it does recognise both Cornwall Fire and Rescue's situation, but also my own. Having relatively recently come into the service, it will give me time to make sure that the community risk management plan is absolutely right. And my intention would be, subject to members' agreement nearer the time, that we go for a 5-year plan rather than a 3-year plan. I just think that given our limited resources, given the cost of going through the consultation process, and given best practice that is being seen by other fire and rescue services, including those that are seen as excellent, the 5-year plan seems to be a positive way forward. So it really does then give us the opportunity to do the right thing.
okay.
But yeah, so I feel that we do mitigate the risks. The extension risks are mitigated by the actions that we're taking.
And from the next risk as well, so for the update, there's going to be annexes to the CRMP to give you a chance, if there are new risks, to enable to surface those and emphasise those.
Yeah, and that does tie in with that work that we discussed earlier around the prevention and protection strategy, because that will be about identifying those risks in homes and properties.
Mhm.
The wider risks come from the Community Risk Register and from the Local Resilience Forum, and that will give us the opportunity to include that in that addendum.
Cool, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you. Obviously, it makes sense to take your recommendation, especially with getting in line with Cornwall. You said about going to a 5-year plan. Do Cornwall operate on a 5-year plan?
I'm not sure if they do. I think they're probably sticking to either a 3 or 4-year plan. But my part of my motivation has been looking at those services who've achieved excellent in terms of their HMI report, but also just recognising the commitment in time to produce the community risk management plan. I just feel that we'd be better off actually delivering the plan rather than in 3 years' time looking at something that potentially, that wouldn't easily have that 5-year tenure. That's not to say that we can't be flexible within that period. If new risks emerged, then the way that the community risk management plan is written means that we don't ignore new risk. It's just that we might have to adapt our plans within that process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Leah.
Just confirming it is a 4-year plan that Cornwall work to.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Leah, do we need to take a vote on whether we agree to a 5-year plan for it to go to full council, or do
No,
we?
that's not for today. No, that
That's
will be
not-
a later decision. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, take the recommendations that members, having scrutinised the information provided in the report and appendices, make such observations as they consider appropriate and endorse the extension of the current community risk management plan by 1 year to March 2027 for the reasons set out in the report. Recommendation 2, that members recommend that full council consider any observations made by this committee under recommendation 1 above and approve the extension of the current community risk management plan by 1 year to 2027 for the reasons set out in the report. Could I have a proposer, please? Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Marcus. All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you very much. It's the end of the meeting, and the meeting closes at 10:36. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.